Mom's room is this one. Go ahead and open the door.
Excited by my daughter's smile, I opened the door to a surprising scene.
What? What does this mean?
The room turned out to be a bathroom. This means your room is the toilet. If you don't like it, you can leave. Mockingly, my daughter and her husband said this. I had looked forward to living with them while we built the house together, but I can't forgive them. My name is Sarah. I'm a 64-year-old single woman. You might think I've led a sad life when you hear that, but I have a daughter. Her name is Emma, and she's now 32 years old.
Mom, don't you have someone nice?
What? What are you talking about? I'm not thinking of remarrying at my age. Oh, that's such a waste. You're so beautiful, Mom.
The mom, my kind daughter, would praise me like this and treat me with such tenderness. I've been raising her on my own since I lost my husband about 30 years ago. Like when he was alive, he earned enough so that I could be a homemaker. That's the hindbay even niksake. The life insurance money from my husband wasn't much, but it wasn't enough to live on for years. So, I worked desperately. I wanted my daughter to be free to do whatever she loved. Luckily, I found a full-time job, and on weekends, I would leave her with my parents and work a different job. Thanks to my efforts, I was able to send my daughter to college. My parents would say, "Sarah, you're admirable," and I wanted to pat myself on the back for doing well. After graduating from college, Emma found a job at a local company. I was so happy she was working properly and was deeply moved by how much she had grown. I want her to find a good person and be happy. Just when I thought that, about 3 years into her job, Emma brought home a man she called her fiancé. I was truly surprised. It was sudden news, and her fiancé was strikingly handsome. He's over 6 feet tall with long legs, and a model by profession. They met at a company party in the advertising industry where Emma works. They hit it off immediately, started dating, and got married within a year. She seemed so happy when she announced her marriage, so I thought if my daughter is happy, that's all that matters. But as I heard more about her married life, I became a little worried. Emma's husband seemed to work less as a model after getting married and eventually stopped working altogether. And he didn't seem to take on the housework as a homemaker either. However, Emma was smitten with her husband and seemed to accept the situation. This made me feel uneasy. Thankfully, they don't have children, so it's just the two of them, but living on Emma's income alone is a bit concerning. Winks. I had a chance to talk with my daughter alone and casually asked if there was anything unsatisfactory about her married life. But despite the situation, she said she had no complaints about her husband and only talked about how handsome and wonderful he is. As a single mother who cherished her only daughter, it bothers me that she's with what you might call a kept man. So after Emma got married, I made sure to spend as much time with her as possible. Just being women, it's enough fun to have lunch at a cafe and chat. I subtly bring up her married life during these times. Emma often talks about things she wants to do or places she wants to go, expressing her own desires and dreams. Each time, Emily think that I want to fulfill what I can for her. Thus, among many things, my daughter often talks about her dream of living in a large house in an upscale urban neighborhood. People who have made it in life own grand houses, right? I want to join that club soon. I never wanted Emma to experience poverty, but she seems fixated on becoming wealthy. I recall her asking for expensive brand name bags, clothes, and cosmetics even when she was in high school. I remember scolding her lightly, saying we couldn't afford such luxuries at that time. She was stubborn and wouldn't accept no for an answer, which was troublesome. Thinking about it, Emma has always had a strong desire for glamorous and shiny things. Her choice in a husband reflects that too, flashy and sparkling. Well, now she is working properly and she's an adult, so she must be living a balanced life. One day, out of the blue, Emma's husband contacted me wanting to talk. He asked when they could visit my house. I was surprised. Emma's husband rarely came to see me. At first, I thought he might not like me. When he was with my daughter, I would sometimes tell him, "You can call me Sarah too." "No, it's okay." He gently refused. So when he said he wanted to talk, I was a bit apprehensive. It must be something serious for him to want to visit. Obviously, I welcomed my daughter and her husband into my home.
Sarah, it's been a while. I'm sorry to drop in like this.
What did you want to talk about? I asked this while serving coffee, eager to get to the point. I had a bad feeling about this. Then, Emma's husband made an unexpected proposition.
Sarah, would you consider living with us?
So,
Of course, if you're against it, feel free to say no.
I was taken aback. I had never imagined they would come to propose living together. Emma was looking at me, smiling kindly. I felt so caught off guard, I almost cried. I can't speak right now. Tears would overflow. Was it after Emma got married? When James stopped working and I suggested they move in with me. At that time, they declined, saying they were fine. Of course, I wanted to support them so their life wouldn't become difficult, but honestly, I wanted to live together. Having been refused and seeing them managing on their own for years, I had given up on the idea. Now, suddenly being offered to live together, I was overjoyed and deeply touched.
Mom, what do you think? We want to hear how you feel.
I took a deep breath and began to speak slowly. I'm really happy you brought up living together. I've always wanted to, but I didn't want to impose, so I kept those feelings to myself.
Does that mean you're okay with the idea of moving in together?
Emma asked, and I nodded firmly. Seeing Emma and James' faces light up made me happy too. But I was surprised by the sudden proposal to live together. Why did you think of it? I asked curiously. Aksetime smiled gently and said, "Mom, you're over 60 now, and you're retiring soon, right? Which no matter how much you hide it, it's getting harder to live an ordinary life as you age. Thus we thought it would be better to move in early so we can be there for you if anything happens." Big tears filled my eyes at my daughter's thoughtful words. I'm so happy to have raised such a considerate child.
And the idea to live together came from James.
What? I looked at my daughter's husband in surprise. He was smiling kindly. It seems I was mistaken about being disliked. I was truly happy to be treated so kindly by both of them. To be honest, I had my concerns about life in old age. I wasn't worried about money, but having worked hard when I was young, I feared my body might not serve me well as I aged. If I were to fall ill while alone, there would be no one to help. Living with someone would alleviate that worry. Above all, I was delighted at the prospect of living with my daughter again. Thank you both. I would love to live together, so we decided to live together. But there is one concern about cohabiting. Where would we live? I've always led a simple life and currently live in an affordable apartment for one. Emma and her husband also live comfortably in a space that's just right for two. Neither place is big enough for 3 people. When I brought this up, Emma said, "Let's find a home we can all live in for a long time." That might be a good idea. I agreed to her suggestion, and we started looking for a house together. We went to real estate agents and looked at various properties. I had assumed we'd live in an apartment, but Emma was inquiring about houses. When I asked, Emma said, if we're going to live together, we should find a house we can stay in forever. I was swept away by her words. Indeed, cohabiting is for the long term, and it would be comforting to know that Emma has a happy home after I'm gone. And if grandchildren come along, a house would be better. With that in mind, I agreed to look for a house. But the properties Emma was interested in were all very expensive, luxury homes. Then I remembered. Emma had often spoken of her dream to build a big house in an upscale neighborhood. Maybe she thinks this dream can now be realized. Emma looked excitedly at the brochures. "Mom, isn't this one great?" I was shocked when I saw the brochure she handed me. It was an incredibly luxurious home worth $3 million. I tried to gently say, "Isn't this a bit too expensive?" But Emma seemed quite dejected, saying I really thought it was a great place. She was clearly disheartened. I felt terribly sorry, but honestly, it was too expensive. Yet, I wanted to live in a house that would make my daughter happy. It's supposed to be our home for life. I must have been too elated about the prospect of living together. Emma didn't seem too impressed with the other properties. What if this makes her want to call off living together? A patient somehow becomes submissive in order to fulfill the dream of living with my daughter. How about this one? Well, I still think I prefer that house. Is that so? Watching my daughter's face go from excitement to boredom saddened me. It's supposed to be a fresh start living together, she said dismissively, and I was shaken. Then, one day, she forced a final decision upon me. If you want to live together, let's build that $3 million house. Emma stated that if it wasn't for that house, she didn't want to live together. I was no longer capable of making a calm decision. All right, let's buy that house and live together. As soon as I said that, Emma's face lit up. Yay, thank you, Mom. My dream is coming true. Watching her so happy made me question myself. Is this really okay? James also looked very pleased, so I decided to be content since they were happy. Thus, we set out to build a house in the upscale neighborhood. It was Emma's dream, and since I didn't care much about the layout or the facade, I agreed to build the house they wanted. Emma joyfully pondered what kind of house to build. Since the couple didn't have the financial means, it naturally fell to me to make the payments. But seeing my daughter smile made me feel like any price was worth it. It's a year passed, and the house with every detail the couple insisted on was finally completed. It was certainly the most expensive purchase of my life, but this house, the culmination of my life's work, was magnificent. Even compared to the luxurious homes in the neighborhood. I believe it holds its own. Moving day came in the blink of an eye, and I headed to the new house alone. Emma and James had already arrived and were busily moving furniture and appliances inside. And Mom, oh, you both are already here. We couldn't settle down, so we came first thing in the morning to move things. You came quite early too. None? I was restless as well, smiling at our shared sentiment. I entered the house. It's the newness and grandeur of the house made it feel unreal. Perhaps I've lived too modestly until now. Now I must get used to life in this luxurious home. Which room should I use for my things? I asked, and they exchanged glances and chuckled. I wondered what was so funny. Had I said something strange? They stopped moving.
I'm going to show you to the room I prepared for Mom now.
And said they would show me to my room, prepared just for me. I was touched by their thoughtfulness. I followed them upstairs to a room at the end of the hallway. It was a room at the back of the snot floor. As I got older, I thought it would be a good idea to use the first floor, but my daughter took the trouble to prepare a room for me. I can't complain. Besides, I was more excited about the room Emma had set up for me.
This is your room. Nah, go ahead and open the door. Up.
With anticipation from Emma's smile, I opened the door to a shocking sight. What does this mean? To my disbelief, it was a bathroom. This is my room? This must be some kind of joke, right?
What? A joke? No way. We're dead serious. If you don't like it, you can leave.
My daughter and son-in-law said this, laughing mockingly. I couldn't understand the situation at all. As I stood there dumbfounded, my daughter made a shocking statement.
We only needed you for your money.
But you said you wanted to live together because you were worried about me. And it was James' suggestion. I stammered, and the couple snorted with laughter.
Indeed, the strategy was my idea, so it's not wrong to say I proposed it. But seriously, as if I would want to live with someone as plain and poor-looking as you.
Sorry, Mom. If James says so, I can't argue. What my darling says goes, you know?
This can't be happening.
Got it? Then hurry up and get out, will you? If you say you'll live in this upstairs toilet, We'll let you stay.
We mainly use the downstairs toilet anyway, but you'll have to eat and do everything in that room. If you don't like it, leave.
Such a life is impossible. I had no choice but to leave this house.
You're not seriously considering living in the toilet, are you?
I'm under pressure from my daughter. I felt I had no choice but to leave quickly.
All right. I'll leave.
As soon as I said that, their faces broke into smiles.
Thank you, Mom. Not only for raising us, but for gifting us this amazing house. You're the best.
What should have been words of gratitude from my daughter felt like utter sarcasm at that moment. With my spirit in tatters, I took my belongings and headed for the entrance. As I left the house, I could hear the two of them chatting cheerfully, quickly bragging about their successful scheme. As I moved away from the house, they resumed moving items from their car. Holding back tears, I started walking toward the station, the house I had looked forward to living in with them. Why would they treat me this way? Had I ever done anything to deserve their resentment? Being with me just to get money and then discarding me was cruel beyond words. I could never forgive them. I decided to take action against the two of them. Since I had already vacated my previous apartment, I immediately found a new place to live that was just as affordable as the old one. I moved into a property that fit my criteria, a carefree and comfortable life of living alone. It was a very peaceful and quiet life. But things were about to get noisy. It had been almost a month since I was ousted from the house with my daughter. As expected, my mobile phone rang. Looking at the screen, I saw my daughter's name. I ignored the call once, but it rang again shortly after. I reluctantly answered.
Hello.
What's going on?
What do you mean?
Don't play dumb. It's about the house. We got a notice of eviction.
My daughter was clearly panicking.
Oh my, that sounds terrible.
As I said that, the voice on the phone suddenly changed.
Oh, mess around. You did something, didn't you?
They must have been on speakerphone because it was my daughter's husband speaking.
Well, since we're on the topic, I might as well spill the beans. I put that house up for sale.
When I revealed this, I could tell, even over the phone, that my daughter and her husband were speechless.
How could you do something like that? Mom,
That house is where we're living.
How could they be so foolish?
Who bought that house? Who paid for it? Normally, the purchaser is the one whose name is on the deed, right? Do I need to spell it out for you?
When I explained this, they seemed to finally grasp the situation.
I takes 20 for Mom. I'm sorry.
That's right. There is room for Sarah to live after all. It's not too late. Let's live together. Sarah.
Yeah. You wanted to live together, didn't you?
Such a flip-flopping attitude was appalling.
It's too late. I understand your true feelings now. So, I won't have anything to do with you two from now on. Please leave the house before you get reported.
Are you going to abandon your own daughter?
I don't want to hear that from a daughter who betrayed her own mother. Our relationship is over.
How can you say that?
And James, I also wouldn't want to live with someone who's only good looking. When you get older, that looks will fade, and it will be a pitiful sight. Won't it? Oh, maybe you're already in a pitiful state. Take this opportunity to learn what it means to work seriously. Life isn't so sweet. I'm hanging up now.
Hey, you can't just say what you want and then.
My daughter's husband was trying to argue back, but I didn't want to hear it and hung up the phone. I then set my daughter's number to reject all calls. But sometime later, I received word that the couple had been arrested. Apparently, they had refused to vacate the house despite the notice of eviction, and when the property manager came to inquire, they adamantly refused to leave. They were reported, and the police arrived to arrest them. They were charged with trespassing, and James also resisted arrest, which added obstruction of justice to his charges. It seems they had bought expensive furniture and appliances for their new life in the house. But with the arrest, my daughter lost her job, and James incurred fines, putting them both in debt. But that's no longer my concern. It's all their responsibility. The house I sold actually sold for more than the purchase price, giving me an unexpected windfall of tens of thousands of dollars. This unexpected income left me feeling like I had actually benefited from the situation. By the way, I now live in a regional city, not Boston where my daughter and her husband were. I moved here after retiring, partly to get away from them. This place is nostalgic for me. It's where my husband and I met in our hometown. I plan to enjoy the rest of my life here in my hometown. Wait, Sarah? Is that Karen? Incredibly, I ran into an old friend from my school days, and now we meet regularly and are enjoying life together.